Hey guys, and welcome to what is effectively part two of Bitcoin. The fight really starts now. Now, what I will talk about today is the FinCEN Act, the Stablecoin Act, as some of you may have heard of it, and its impact to cryptocurrency. So stay tuned for that. Hey guys, and welcome to this part two, effectively, video to an earlier video that I made in December. Now, in December, I said that the fight against Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies was only really beginning now. And while everyone was celebrating a price rise past, I think, 25,000 in December, we now know that we hit 40,000. I said that contrary to all this euphoria, the year 2021 will actually be a very difficult year for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, a year in which Bitcoin will be attacked more than at any time in its 10, 11 year history, or just over a decade. Now, does this mean I'm suddenly not as bullish on Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies? No. Bitcoin, hear me out, will ultimately win in the end. But the number of attacks will be stepped up now as what the movement in price value since late 2020 says to the broader world, including central banks, governments, banks, elites. It says that this thing isn't dead. This thing's real. Remember, a bubble does not inflate twice. And Bitcoin is now on its fourth major inflation or move upwards, right? Fourth or even fifth, if you want to call it that. So it's here to stay. As a result, we're starting to see comments from people in high positions. We're starting to see proposed laws like the ones that I have on the screen. We're starting to see all kinds of action. But in this video, I'll talk through some of these bad things that are happening. I'll also provide some of the good. So I'll try to have a bit of a balance and give you my summary in the end. But just to give you the gist of it, I am not saying that I'm suddenly bearish on crypto and Bitcoin. Absolutely not. It will win in the end. Don't forget, I used the famous saying that Mahatma Gandhi once said: first they ignore you, then they mock you or laugh at you, and then they fight you, and then you win. So that's exactly what will happen. Let's unpack this, starting with some of the attacks that we're seeing on Bitcoin. Okay, let's start with this Stablecoin Act, FinCEN Act. And this is the least of my worries, right? So effectively, let's start with who are FinCEN, Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. Generally, these guys do good things, regulation, and they talk about protecting end users. So typically, you would want this type of body. And many people in the crypto world first started hearing about this FinCEN Act late last year to regulate stablecoins. And let's just dive in to exactly what it would do, right? So basically, they're going after the fact that a stablecoin can be used, in money laundering activities, other financial crimes, but we knew this already. And the real, I think, worry here is that stablecoins are effectively tied to a currency like the US dollar, and so this effectively enables dollar-based financial crimes. It mentions it here in the middle, 1-to-1 with the US dollar. Now, we've known that. Here's some really choice quotes by this guy here, Kenneth Bianco, FinCEN director, right? Just because you say you're a banana doesn't make you a banana. Okay. So they're going to bring about a lot of regulation, firstly, in 2021. We've seen the start of it now, okay? Of course, we agree. We're not happy about money laundering and crimes and things like that. We know that Bitcoin was used on the black market for many years to buy things like drugs. However, this isn't a Bitcoin or even a stablecoin problem because for more than 100 years, currencies like the US dollar were being used to perform these illegal activities. So if they get regulation around that without specifically attacking crypto, that's fine. I'm not too worried about this. But there was a tweet by the Coinbase CEO specifically talking about Steve Mnuchin. So Steve Mnuchin, if you're in the US, you would know, he is your Treasury Secretary. He's your outgoing Treasury Secretary. He's just got, the time of recording, 18th Jan. I think he's got a day or two left, right? Which has an impact to the story. I think he was trying to push through regulation. Now, he's been at it for a while. This is an article from almost a year ago saying they're coming after crypto and they want regulation. They want to know how much you have, what you're doing with it. Now, initially, many people like myself thought, well, I don't live in the US, so is this going to affect me? Then it was brought to my attention that, yeah, Mnuchin raised this at a G7 meeting. And the country that I live in is actually part of the G20. So there's a very good chance that if they get some of these through, they take the lead in putting this down. Many countries around the world are a little bit confused about what to do with this whole crypto space. And via that mechanism and other bodies as well, but I think it's going to be G7, G20 first. Whatever happens there in the US will spread to the rest of the world. So number one, don't think that it's not really going to affect you. We have even worse news coming out of the UK. I'll touch on that in a minute. And that was after this, right? So anyway, I'm going to go through this article out of all the most, right? In a tweet on Thanksgiving Day, Tim Armstrong, isn't his name Brian Armstrong? Article gets it wrong. Said that Mnuchin is working on a law to regulate self-hosted crypto wallets. Now, what is a self-hosted crypto wallet? So that is anything off the exchange. So if you have a Ledger, a Trezor, a paper wallet, or even if you have what's it called on your phone, Argent. There's a whole bunch of these coming along now, especially in the DeFi world. Basically, if you keep your crypto to yourself, okay, they want to know about it. They want to know about it, I think, for tax implications. They want to make sure they tax you. They want to know about it to track, to see how much you have, to try and track your spending. They want to know that an address that is this big, Bitcoin or Ethereum or any crypto, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7x, that whole string that you see, they want to do KYC, confirm that it belongs to you. The whole point of crypto is that you had that anonymity and they want to take it away. So this is a problem. Now, there's some interesting snippets in here, right? John Bolton had a book saying they discussed going after Bitcoin. A few other things, self-hosted wallets and future of free societies. That's actually an interesting read. I'm going to go through that. I haven't gone through that. And what they want to do, I'll give you the gist of what I've heard. All transactions over a certain value, and I think it's a few $1,000s, the exchange needs to record that transaction and send the info to the US government. Number one. Number two, for all transactions, regardless of value, they want the exchange to KYC. I'm not sure how they're going to do it, because if I have an address and it belongs to me, and let's say it's on a Ledger device, how do I prove to the exchange that that is my actual Ledger device and my address? I'm taking it off the exchange to that address. I give permission. So what happens to my crypto is my problem. But I'm not sure how they want to do it, but they want to know, and more worryingly, They want all exchanges to send a record of all transactions off the exchange to the US government, meaning they'll know how much crypto you have. They'll know all your large transactions, especially. They'll know that wallets belong to you. It will kill privacy. It will take anonymity away. And this is what I predicted. So if we look at last year, as I was saying earlier, I'll just bring that up. I basically said that you're going to have a lot of this, and it's going to be a really tough year. I'm not sure if they get it through. A couple of things can happen, right? You can try and fight it. It won't kill Bitcoin. It'll just make it very difficult for Bitcoin people, for people using cryptos. But if there are petitions and things like that, you're living in the US, you can support those petitions. You can ultimately, though, if they pass it through, there's nothing you can do. What you can do is get all your coins off exchanges now, should never be on the exchange, and move them onto your private addresses. And then in future, if you are still buying on an exchange, generate a new address. Okay, so I'm giving you a sneaky tip here. Nothing wrong with what I'm saying here. What I'm saying is perfectly legal because this regulation doesn't apply now. So have more than one address, even if you have one ledger or one Trezor. A couple of other things mentioned in the article that's quite important. Armstrong tweeted, if the rumor Armstrong tweeted about becomes a reality, there could be several cases. Sending crypto to smart contracts. Yes, that's true. Smart contracts are not owned by any individual or business that could be identified. The whole point of smart contract, it's a new type of value chain where I can do business with a contract and the entity behind the contract is anonymous. Paying online merchants requires customers to verify their identity. Now, remember, I'm one of the few that was skeptical about the whole PayPal thing until a few things kicked in, like withdrawing the Bitcoin. And a lot of people said, no, you're being crazy and you're wrong. And of course, PayPal is going to go along with any regulation. PayPal will tell the US government that you've got Bitcoin on their platform, even if they then allow you to withdraw it to an address. They'll make you KYC that from day one. I said that the PayPal thing could be a form of attack. Nobody else was saying this. And I said, why are you guys so gullible, right? It's very nice. You know, they timed it when the price is going up and most of you are gullible and just looking, hey, $40,000, that's great. And that's when all of this is happening, and there's not a lot of news coverage around this, right? Sending crypto to people in emerging markets, a big use case of crypto already. Some people still say crypto has no use case. People in emerging markets use it, actually use it to transfer wealth, to pay for items. Look at Venezuela, Iran. There's a new country now, Pakistan, is mining it. Why would they mine it if they're not going to use it? Come on. Okay, they probably will use it to trade. It's going to be difficult to obtain information about the recipient, but I think this will start with G20. I'm not sure what they're going to do with the emerging markets later. Financial privacy, yeah, that's going to be affected, right? So the governments want full control. They probably realize now that they can't shut the Bitcoin blockchain down. It's big. There's too many nodes. There's there's too much resiliency. So the next best thing is to try and put regulation through very quickly where they can control it. They know what's going on. Right now, they don't know what's going on. And they can tax you. They are very scared of tax revenue losses. The other problem is it replacing the US dollar as a global reserve currency. The United States will never agree to that happening. But I guess they feel, my theory is that if they can somehow put all of these things in place to control it, it'll live. They can't kill it, but it won't grow that big. You know, it's not going to really take off. Some people are going to get scared with all of this negative news that we see. Okay, then the article just says the existing financial and banking system is based on antiquated models and technologies facing dramatic change from digital wallets, blockchain, and crypto. And some of the regulation is being pushed, not for the sake of regulation. It's the caveman fighting back, the dinosaur fighting back, right? Not the empire. It's episode 4. Caveman strikes back. Okay, so the rumor of the regulation puts the US at risk. No. So I'm adding to the article by saying I heard about this G20 thing. It will go around the world. Now the UK, let's talk about the UK very quickly.
Things are even worse in the UK.
Okay, so it's a lot worse in the UK. The news isn't very good, right? So you guys in the UK have Brexit, and things are changing fast there. So the first news was that the financial regulator bans crypto-based products, things like Bitcoin ETFs, derivatives. Okay, that's fine. I can live without that. I'm just gonna, because I'm making a video, right? But this is more interesting. Every single Bitcoin product banned in the UK, but the banking thing was even worse, right? UK banks ban digital currency deposits. This is preventing people from certain banks, it must be said, in the UK to basically move money into the exchanges, which means you can't buy crypto. You won't be able to buy crypto. This is a big problem. This is, if they do this around the world in every other country, including the US, then you have a serious problem. Exchanges will shut down. They're going to lose their revenue. Exchanges might look at other ways like PayPal. You don't have crypto already, then how do you do fiat to crypto conversion? You need that on-ramp. They call it an on-ramp. And I think there's another article here, right? God, why is the internet like 10 times worse nowadays than it was 20 years ago? So I made this video here, okay? Bitcoin, the fight begins now, early in December, and I could see it coming. I could see them waiting for this very rosy period, and basically that's what I said. So they're gonna fight you really hard this year, and it may impact this new cycle where we said institutional money is coming in. We may not see as big a pullback like we did on previous cycles, because the demand side is just going to be so strong. It has nothing to do with the supply side. It's just which is stock to flow and mining and all of that, issuance in the case of Ethereum. But here we're saying, okay, with bad news and certain types of regulation actually impacted in a bad way, well, yeah, that looks to be a problem at this point. Okay, we then had Christine Lagarde, not mincing words, wants global regulation of Bitcoin. She didn't mince her words. She called it, this was at Reuters Next. Now I attended Reuters Next. I registered for it. It wasn't that great. The best speech I enjoyed was the Indian Foreign Minister, Dr. Jay Shankar, but that wasn't really to do on crypto. So a lot of the sessions at Reuters Next for me were quite weak. It was last week actually, and I didn't see Lagarde's session because I knew, and Max Kaiser had some terrible things to say. Totally reprehensible money laundering activity, right? And that's the same old excuse. Yes, it happens with Bitcoin, but it happens with all types of currencies. It happens with gold as well. And this is just them being emboldened. I mentioned in the previous video, the German finance minister, which is a pretty big guy, saying, not physically, you know what I mean, saying that Bitcoin must be taken out totally. He didn't mince words at all. Okay, so those are some of the things happening. So I feel justified in making the previous video. Now there are some positives, believe it or not, happening at the same time. Let's have a look at those. Right, so some good news, or very interesting news. Let's start with Goldman Sachs. So Goldman Sachs are planning to enter the crypto market soon, along with JP Morgan and Citi. We've heard really amazing forecasts. 400,000. Of course, I think Rashir Sharma is with Goldman Sachs, and I've spoken about his book previously, The Rise of Nations. So he's a good macroeconomics guy, and he gets it. He put an article out, I didn't have that link up, in the FT, the Financial Times London, saying that Bitcoin's going to be global reserve currency, right? Which is more important, I've said in previous videos going back 2 years. Global reserve currency is 10 times more impact than institutions like MicroStrategy buying. That's small fries, trust me. Okay. I also put out another video 2 or 3 months ago saying it is already a global reserve currency. You just need 2 countries trading in it. We know Iran and Venezuela are doing it. Turkey gave some hints, nothing confirmed. Pakistan is mining it. If they're mining it, well, what are they doing with it? And you can watch that video, right? So some news, and I think once again they would like to see Bitcoin disappear, but there's always a plan B in case it doesn't. There's some very interesting comments from 2 or 3 individuals, right? The former Canadian Prime Minister, this was just yesterday, saying if the US dollar collapses, he didn't say it will collapse, he said if the US dollar collapses, Bitcoin could be his best bet for global reserve currency. Perhaps we will have fiat instead of being backed by gold, backed by Bitcoin. There's so many permutations from this point on, and some scary ones as well, I guess. I certainly hope Bitcoin doesn't cause World War III, okay? Then Larry Summers, I don't know the guy, just like the Canadian Prime Minister, but former US Treasury Secretary. He says it's here to stay, and then on a tweet, he said something very interesting. I think some institutions like Bitcoin, here to stay. I don't think the whole thing will collapse. People will move towards it. Finiteness of its supply will raise prices. So he's obviously a macroeconomics guy. He sees the supply cap 21 million less in reality, if you know what I mean. That's going to be very good for it in this world of M1 and money printing and all of those things, right? By the way, I put out a tweet the other day where we saw that the amount of US dollars printed just in 2020 was more than, like, I think the last 100 years. Amazing stat. Then I'll end the video, if you made it this far, with something really interesting. I found on Twitter this awesome thread, and it's not what you expect. It's an account called Hashtas Restaurants, the best Middle Eastern restaurant in the world, 4,000 followers. Okay, and I checked, they do normally tweet pictures of what they make, falafels and stuff like that, and out of nowhere they put out one tweet saying, well, everyone is waiting for sovereign nations to announce getting into Bitcoin. Let me give you some bad news. They already started. And then this restaurant that normally tweets pics of falafels with French fries has basically one of the best threads, macroeconomic threads I've ever seen. The US has Bitcoin because it seized it. The Miami mayor says Bitcoin for the treasury. That's also something I forgot to mention. Very interesting, smart guy by the looks of things. China, well, China's got lots of Bitcoins. They mine the thing. Okay, the miners there. It's got the machines. Venezuela, they don't have a choice. They're doing it. Iran, as I've mentioned. So I'm saving the best for last, right? It's in any country's benefit to be secretive about buying Bitcoin. The announcement will lead to citizens and other countries buying it, raising demand and price. So a whole bunch of these countries, he's saying what I said in my video, a whole bunch of these countries are buying it, they own it, they have it already, right? Most of this happened last year, and that's why they posted this. So maybe he's from the Middle East and he runs this restaurant, but just to show you, know what you expect, right? That's this restaurant, Ontario, Canada. But perhaps the owner is from a place like Iran, and you see this is how he makes his falafels. So I thought I'd end on that. That's very funny, right? But I mean, if this guy gets it, come on. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. I'm ending on a positive note, but if you're in Bitcoin, let me just give you my thoughts, right? It's not going to kill Bitcoin, all these attacks. Remember, Mahatma Gandhi said they attack you, and then you win. And Bitcoin will win, but it's going to get ugly. Weak hands will drop and get scared by some of this news. the news in the UK, if many countries do that, make it difficult to actually move money into the exchanges, you will see a negative impact to that. I see on Twitter and LinkedIn and social media people now jumping on all of this news over the last week and saying, oh, well, there we go. Bitcoin's going to die. Employees of banks, people in governments. I see them saying that. That will cause weak hands to sell. It's very attractive to sell now at, between 35 and 40,000. So some people will sell for a profit. I don't advise. I'm not a financial advisor, but you know where I stand. Don't do that. Always ask yourself, if Tahini's Restaurants knows what to do, you should know what to do as well. So I think it will just cause the ride to get bumpier. If you're big on blockchain fundamentals, you won't have a problem because you know why you're here in the first place, right? So you're not going to have a problem with that. But it's just going to cause more instability, ups and downs. It's going to be a really difficult year. If they pass the resolution where you have to KYC your addresses coming off the exchanges, get your stuff off the exchanges now. It's going to be a problem in future for a person that only starts buying Bitcoin 6 months from now. And if all of that's in place, then yeah, they're going to know that it's his address. They're going to see the transaction. The US government wants every transaction from the exchange. And they're probably, knowing them, they'll probably want it from every exchange around the world. And they'll say, we have to do this for security reasons to prevent money. Right? In some ways, they're right, but just kills privacy as well. We'll see. If it happens, it's may not be something that you like, but it's not going to kill Bitcoin. Let's just get that clear, okay? So it sounds like they're trying to put stuff in place, knowing it's not going to die, in order to control it. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that a little bit longer, and I will speak to you guys very soon. Until then, good night.